version of El Salvador because my first video uh, was not great and I just got there not that long ago, so I could really not give you like the best tips about this country in El Salvador. So now that I've been here for 2.5 months, I have better knowledge, and I can give you better pointers on like what to do, what not to do, what you should know, what you should not know. So I'm going to try to be brief and give you the best that I've learned and know from um, uh, being in here for about almost 3 months now, and I have another 2.5 months to go. I'm not uh, I'm not a stranger of North America and Central America because I lived almost an entire year in Mexico in two splits of 6 months. Not quite a year, but almost. And then I spent almost 3 months in Costa Rica, and I have visited multiple towns and multiple area in Mexico, so I get um, more knowledge of like how Latino lives and how North America is and Central America, which is very similar but still different. So so you can the two between Mexico and El Salvador, it is very different between Guatemala and San Salvador, and El Salvador, I mean, is different as well. So it's just like it's just like in Europe. If you compare Italy to Spain, it's different. If you compare Belgium, Switzerland, and Paris and France, it's different. If you compare Denmark to Germany, it's different. There's always going to be a slight difference, but there's always going to be something similar, uh, like sidewalks. They often crickets, like plants. That's something similar you're going to get, like the climate, um, temperature. But in El Salvador, it's much less. You have at least 10, 15 degrees less than you get in Mexico. You have a little more wind here, so it's actually more endurable to be here in July that when I was in July in Mexico, in the center, in a city, it was unbearable. You had zero wind, you had maximum temperature, just like in Florida, and it was very, very hot. So you had to go at specific time or make sure you go from a car to the destination in order to breathe. It was very hard to breathe. It's just very, very hot. So you usually go early morning or just get out in the late evening if you do, jogging or exercise outdoor. But otherwise, you usually try to stay indoor on the AC or, like I said, just go from point A to B, but don't stay in the bright sun too long because it will exhaust you. I remember just trying to walk in the afternoon in Mexico, and it was very, very, very tiring. Um, but so here, yeah, we have it's less hot, so that really, really helps. I would say that people are uh, more friendly and just more excited about foreigner than they are in Mexico for sure. They're very helpful and they're very kind and they're really hard worker, and they don't have food banks, they don't have EBTs, they don't have government help like we do in US and France. So because of that, the only thing that they have to rely on is the little jobs that they can get or anything that they can sell on the street. So they have to survive or they will hand up, in this very tiny room, which is probably very cheap, but they'll be the only thing they can afford. And, maybe family will let them stay in a small room. That's usually the worst can happen. You really don't see people sleeping outside here that much. It's just a few, but not really. I mean, in the downtown area, yes, there's an entire park where it's just for homeless, and I think the cops, you can just tell them it's their territory, and then the cops actually allow them to sleep there. It's like to take over. So they have a spot that they just stay in, and they don't have to look for a place to sleep. What's really sad here also is that a lot of family are not making very much, and they have no choice in hours of when, they don't get to choose when of the time they want to work, or the hours they want to work, or the day of they want to work. They don't have this option, because there's not many jobs. They have to take whatever it's possible to get, and when they do get one, they can't just quit, because they might not get another one for another 3 years, and they will die, and then will have nothing, and they will not be able to pay their rent and or their mortgage. Some often family have small house, and they pay for over time, like 30 years. And with the expense and the food costing more than the rent, they usually just have a very small allowance of like not even $15 a week to spend extra. And that's just the one. It's not even the worst case that I'm describing, but it's most people. Um, Now, if people are running and more like running their place, they are making so much more money, making their life easy, and then they share their money with their family. They help others to pay their rent. So a lot of time they do that, whether they can generate a source of income. A lot of time um, they have telecommunication often is the only job when there's no other jobs out there. So they have to work 10 to 12 hours a day, making $15 a day, having to work that much for that little money. Often they don't have transportation, they don't always have cars. If they do, they usually drive Ubers, make money as a taxi driver, as an Uber driver. So um, otherwise they have to do about an hour to transportation, then work for 10 to 12 hours, make $15, barely have enough money to eat. And so they don't have a luxury to go and buy all the food they want, to go out often, all of this. Now there's, like I said, there's other people who have better jobs or have more of a connection. You have to have connection here in order to have a better job, and you do have to have a high qualification in order to get those jobs. Is very important here, but it's very difficult to get to. Same as Guatemala, it was the same situation. So here, the main place that I can tell you about the ice cream that I noticed in North and Central America, where a place called Satira and Laveria, those are the two main ice cream shops that you always see. They like a pink sign, and you see them everywhere. They have a grocery store here that's called Selecto, and I haven't seen any other place but El Salvador so far. So El Selecto is the main grocery store here, with along with pharmacy, a bakery, and a hot cafeteria. Usually you can eat there, or you can grab hot food. Um, you also have another store. It's called Familia Despensa Familiares, which is another grocery store, but minus the deli and the bakery side. But you still have a bakery item. There's just a regular store, which is cheaper. So it gives you the option to have food that is cheaper. It's not usually the best, but it still has the vegetable and the fruits area, all this, and the bread. I mean, everything you need is in that store. That was the main store that I was using for a long time. And then they have another big store, and it's almost every place you go is called Dollar City, and it's not that cheap really. It's great for like things like phones, accessories, little speakers, or maybe like craft stuff, just like if you had a dollar store, like a Dollar Tree kind of. I guess it's kind of a comparison, and then it just has a really small food section with snacks and drinks, and so yeah, for drinks and chips is cheap, and for some of it's still a full charger, but everything else is really not that cheap. I've been there a couple of times, and compared to other places that I can get the same stuff, and it was not really cheap. Um, Now, food-wise, the pupusa and tamales is the main two things. They love this. They also cook like ribs, and they do make tacos as well, and a lot of burritos. You can find a lot of local shops, local restaurant. Any single corner you can find restaurant everywhere. If you're in a city like I am, it doesn't matter where you are in the city, there's going to be shops and plazas and more within short distance of you. Now, if you're outside, if you go a little bit like 20 kilometers away, it's gonna start depleting and start being a little bit less populated. And if you go within an hour to 2 hours from the main center from San Salvador, it will there will be area when it has nothing but mountains. So you could go from one, like I went in Guatemala to San Salvador. There was about 3 hours in El Salvador after we crossed the border. It was literally just empty, just complete field emptiness with just the mountain view and the volcanoes. Once you get to a Santa Ana, and then you start seeing a little bit of more civilization, and then from about hour and a half from Santa Ana to San Salvador, then you have it start to grow a little bit more, and now you see a little bit more houses, and then within 30 minutes, then there's a bunch of house everywhere. And now you also have the people who live on high peak mountains, and its life is different for those people who are near like volcanoes or just mountainside, because often they don't have a bus right there. They usually have to look at least 30 minutes, sometimes 40 minutes down a hill and then go back up a hill every day in order to just get to the bus. That's if they don't have a car. Not everybody has a car. Cars are very expensive here. So you still see a lot of motorcycle riders, because for some reason motorcycles are much cheaper than scooters. And so a lot of people are riding motorcycle. I saw that in Punta Cana. I saw that in poor country that have less money. But I gotta say, here there's a lot of invasion from American, England. I mean, I don't know, maybe other place, Europe, wherever, because any single place that has like a tourist spot, it's going to be owned by a foreigner. A lot of the big tower hotel like Santa Telca is only no, it's about 12 miles from here. This city is just a bunch of giant buildings, a lot of tourist spots, and just hotels, and it's not cheap. It is so expensive. Fast food, I said it before. Fast food are expensive in this country. It's the same or higher. Starbucks are even the same or higher than in America, in the States. The price on electronic is very expensive here to buy laptops, TV and things like this. I don't know about fridge. I saw one fridge was $1,000. That sounds a little expensive to me for thinking that you will get cheaper things. So you really have to gamble to, in order for you to not to survive and have the best deal. If you come here to get the best deal, then you should seek, trying to get the lowest rent as possible, because it's going to be hard for a foreigner to get that. But if you're going to stay over 3 months, just try to do that. It would be better for you, for your pocket money. Try to find the cheapest stores and you can find. Try to get the cash on the side so you can get the best deal when you eat local, because the locals restaurants or the food sold on market outdoor, or any of the food trucks that only take cash, their things are between 50 cents to $3. You can get an entire meal for $3. You can get 2 bags of vegetables, of fruits for less than $1.50. And you can get free tamales for $1. You can get free poposa for $1, which has like little pancake with cheese, beans, and like chicken. So if you get food, if you feed yourself from those places once in a while, you will see when they're really cheap and you really get really good food. And just try to avoid the big name restaurant, the big the fancy restaurants of the fast foods, and you just go there once in a while. Like all the Domino's here, they have every single American brand you can think of. Apart from the brands like you can find in certain states, you're not gonna see here, but everything else is there. Subway, Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger King, um, Domino's, Papa John's, what else? They all there. I mean, it's just like Mexico City. You drive and it feels like you're in America, but you're not. Another thing here, another thing is big here in San Salvador is Mr. Donut. It's a giant cafeteria, like, and it has one section with donuts and cold sandwich, and a section with the hot food, and then drinks. It's really popular. A lot of people go there. They have different pizza names that are popular, like Pizza Nova. It's a popular one. They have other ones. Um, what's another place that is popular? Another thing is that on the weekends you're always going to see people in the mall or in a breakfast place. Like it's just a thing that they always do, so you're always gonna see there. Another thing about the people here is that they enjoy themselves. They know how to party. They know how to have a good time. They know how to. They're very connected with their family, and it's just very welcoming. They love music, and and they really love nature and plants, and you can see that because where you go, it's just a lot of settings of it, just plants set up. It's just beautiful. It's mixed up of different color plants, in a nice little pots. It's just really cute. The garbage system here is much cleaner than Mexico, 100 times cleaner, because you just put your garbage on. You have 3 days for pickup, which allows you to put it anytime you want. Um, and you just share a spot with like your nearest neighbor, and you just put your garbage on the corner there, and it gets picked up all the time. So that's a really good system, which means you don't see much garbage, pretty clean most of the time. Here they don't have as much problem with the bathrooms, so you can throw your toilet paper in the toilet. Some places don't, but it's not that many, so it's not that gross. You don't see like all this nasty toilet paper everywhere, which you see in Mexico. You don't have many stray dogs and cats here. It's really not that many. Um, versus Guatemala, Costa Rica, and Mexico, tons of dogs, tons of cats, any time of the day, starving, looking, eating anything from the garbage. But they were being, pets, and they were being fed by local places often, all the time. But they just could not feed all of them. There were just too many. Here you don't see that. That's another thing in El Salvador. In El Salvador, you speak the exact same Spanish as you speak in any other Latino country. There's no difference. Um, but they're very focused on art. The school system is working wonderfully. They have a lot of beauty spas everywhere. They're really good. That's a good thing. At least that's a really good price. You have pedicure for $10, manicure for $6, and you can get a facial for $10 probably. Massage, I think the prices were about $20 for 45 minutes, maybe an hour, which is not that bad. But if you in a popular city like San Salvador, you also gonna end up in a lot of places that can overprice you. Hotels are very expensive, so just look around, check things out before you decide to get, because there's always going to be other options and places you can get a better deal. Thanks for watching. Please share. If you know anybody who's thinking about coming here, and even if you don't speak Spanish, if you go to the most popular place, there's always going to be somebody who speaks English. Now, if you just go anywhere, you have to know a little bit of Spanish, or you just have to walk around with either your app or your translator app if you can, if you have data. Just remember the data here is not the same as outside in the state or somewhere else. So it's usually better when you buy the SIM You have to have make sure it's one of the phone that will work with the SIM here. The most popular place is Claro. Claro means, of course. It's funny because I didn't know that for a long time because there were Claro everywhere. I had no idea. I thought it was just a phone place. Same for Aurora was a pharmacy in Mexico that I saw everywhere. I didn't know it meant now, and it took me a while to realize that that actually was a word. Um, but you have pharmacy everywhere. So here it's not the same as Guatemala and Mexico. There's more restricted. They are a little more restricted on the medication, but there's still things like nerve pills and amoxicillin and a few other things that you can get without prescription. But anything else, most you have to have a prescription. Usually it's not that hard, but any specialist, you're gonna see it's at least $50 here. Any other doctor are usually free or $4. If you just like a little bit sick or you get a flu or you just need to see a general doctor, it's free almost, it's really cheap. But anything else is going to start at $50, so just know that. If you need to see a dermatologist, you need to see a neurologist, you need to see a psychologist, everything is about $50 to start with and up. Cars are not cheap, so I don't really know how they pay. I heard a woman, she was driving Uber and she was actually renting a car. So it's possible that a lot of people who drive Uber are actually renting. So she said she was paying 400 a month. I'm like, what? That's actually really cheap for a rental. If you're gonna make money that way, so it made me think like, oh, maybe I should try. But again, you're a tourist, you're not treated the same as a local. You don't get the same option if you don't have a bank here. It's going to be different for foreigners. So be careful on the deposit and all this stuff. And buying, forget it. I mean, buying house here or anything, I would say don't even get into it unless you actually have if you have at least 20,000 cash. Your best bet will be first you have to get yourself a bank account somehow. Second, you have to have at least between 19 to 20. That's the minimum for buying anything here. So there's really nothing under, because if you did pay anything by payment which they don't like, they don't accept, like in Mexico they do. So it's a good thing to know about Mexico is that for a foreigner, you cannot buy within 50 miles of any border and any ocean, any water. Anything in between you can, but you have, if you're gonna do the credit, you have to either have a bank or you even have, a lot of time they don't care as long as you pay them monthly. You have to find a buy owner. It's usually better if you find a buy owner person and you have, they make a contract, they sign everything with a lawyer, and everything is done right there. And if you're going to pay for the rest, but the down payment is going to be so much higher, up to about $10,000. The minimum that I ever seen was about 8 or 9,000. In order to pay the rest, you need to have at least 8 to 9,000 for any tiny house, any one bedroom, studio, things like this. That would be about the minimum. Anything under will be probably just a room that you can buy in an apartment complex, or just a studio in like one of those really large apartment complex, and maybe you can put 6,000 down and then you can pay the rest over time with higher interest and stuff like this. So that's something you might want to know in the future. But in El Salvador, I was looking into it, and it was a minimum 18 to 20,000. So it's but if you do have the money, you might want to think about buying and say, hey, I want to spend half of my year here, half of your year there. Make sure you have somebody stay at the time when you leave, so we can supervise your house, make sure it doesn't get vandalized. But if you put camera or if you rent the place, then you're making money as well, and you can just live there, come back within 3 months, stuff like this. So what else can I say? I mean, it's very modern, very, very modern here. But it's really in between. You have the really poor people, and you have people who are making it, and then you have people who are making it way too much than others, and doing much better than others. But it's sad to see when a lot of people are working so hard and they really don't get to enjoy life for all the work that they put in, and for years and years and years and years, and they're just killing themselves at work, and they have very little reward. And yeah, it's hard to see. And then we expect them to smile, when we come in and as a visitor or tourist or a nomad or vagabond, or just somebody's passing through, and we so often expect them to, answer a question or smile at us, and we have no idea that they are going through, 10, 12 hours day shift, 2 or 3 hours of driving, or just taking transportation, walking in the heat. Often people walk in the heat here. There's not very much place that has AC. AC is a luxury. You don't have AC, but in big grocery store, that's the only place. A Walmart or the grocery store there, but I've never seen AC anywhere else otherwise. It's just window. It just kind of works like in Europe. It's you just open your window and use fans. That's how they function here. So yeah, so I think I went over most of everything, and yeah, also in the evening, another thing that I like here is that you always find there's a lot of streets that are mixed up. It's like a labyrinth. Like you can walk on any streets, and they're always so cricket, so weird and so different, and you always hung up in a different corner than you didn't see before. And you always, because here it's not like huge, there's no like um there's no orders like where you can do your business. You can do business anywhere you like, in your house, on the sidewalk, across the street, anywhere. And so anywhere, but of course you can go in front of another business and stuff like this, but or in any like fancy area. But you're gonna walk at night, and at random time you're gonna see different shops, different food vendors. So, and those are really cheap. Like I said, vendors on the street, they're really cheap. They're like 50 cents to $1, and you get a lot of food. So that those are the things that I really enjoy. Is that it feels amazing in the evening. Get a lot of wind. You get to see beautiful plants, wonderful pathway. You get to cross. You can always grab any food you like. They always the service is amazing. It's like you're always being treated so good. So anywhere you go, it's just, unless it's like a very monopolized area of tourists where it's like more tension and they're less friendly. But anywhere else, I've always been treated like really good, and it's just great because you ask a question, you get an answer, you always get a smile, you always get people happy to see you. People are like, you talk to them, they answer you. There's a lot of security guard, as I said before, a lot of police all the time. So in a way, it kind of makes you feel more secure because they're always there, everywhere. Stores, parks, any place you can think of, you're gonna have either a guard with one of those big giant sticks, or little guns, or police guys. And often you're gonna see troops of police, in different areas. You just never know. But everybody minds their business, and that's the one big thing. Is that everybody's just focused on themselves. Nobody judge anybody. Nobody's talking about anybody. And nobody's mean or rude or just like a thing that I used to feel in the US, and it's like or other places like in Puerto Rico. There was that feeling too. It's like there was just a lot of hate, a lot of, not just hate, racism, but there was just a lot of bickering, bullying among people, often, and direct answers. You're paying a lot of money, you don't always get the good service. Here, if you're gonna pay, you don't even have to spend a lot. You're still gonna get good service. So another thing I appreciate is that you can just go in and out of any restaurant. There's no tips. There's no pushing you about buying water. You don't have to buy extra. You can literally buy anything you like, and they're gonna be giving you food really quick, and you're gonna be out whenever you want. So that's another cool thing too, to consider if you were to come here. Also, you might want to look at the cheapest flight from wherever you are, and sometimes it's much better for you to get a really cheap flight to the place where you can get a cheap flight. Depends. It depends on the price really and how long you're gonna stay. Weekdays are usually cheaper than weekends. Um, if you were to get a flight, and sometimes one way, and then it's usually better because you don't close yourself for how long you're going to be, and then when you decide, that way you can prolong your stay, and then you can see other area. And yeah, you get up to 6 months here if you have a US passport. So you should take advantage of that and try to stay as long as you can before you head back. So all right, thanks for watching, everybody. That's gonna be it already.